St. John's and things. This guy's one of the top dollar. This place needs a lot of work. Yeah, I don't know why. And they kept saying this place needs a lot of work.
Ready, guys? Good evening, board members and residents. I would like to call to order the regular board meeting and public hearing for Tuesday, October 14th, 2014. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Witt, will you please take the roll call?
Yes, Mr. Batanti. Here. Mr. Brado.
Here.
Mr. Capel.
Here.
Mr. Tominello.
Here.
Mr. York.
Here.
Mr. Witt. Here. Mr. Verkest.
Here. Thank you. Next on our agenda is the approval of the consent agenda, including the approval of the regular board meeting minutes of September 22nd, 2014, and workshop minutes of September 17th, 2014. Approval of the bills in the amount of $1,147,153.97, and approval of inventory replacement of repair clamps for water main breaks in the amount of $11,464.56. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as read with the bills in the amount of $1,147,153.97.
All right, is there support?
Support.
All right, we've got a motion by Mr. Tominello, support by Mr. Capral to approve the consent agenda. Discussion, board members. Hearing none and seeing no public comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Next is the approval of the regular agenda. Board members, late Friday, we received a request in writing from the applicant representing Harbor Point of Harrison, basically the former Marinos property or the parcel at 16 and Jefferson, asking that their rezoning request be tabled at this time. We've been asked to remove item E from our agenda, addressing the rezoning of the property. Are there any other revisions to the agenda? If not, you're looking for a motion to approve the agenda with the removal of item E.
Make a motion to approve the regular agenda, removing item E.
All right. All right, we've got a motion by Mr. Witt with support by Mr. Batanti to approve the agenda with the removal of item E. Discussion, board members. Hearing none and seeing no public comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Next is announcements. Board members, we're looking forward to this Saturday. Hallowpalooza is coming up on Saturday, October 18th from 5 to 7 p.m. at Tucker Park. It's an event tailored for Halloween enthusiasts of all ages, sponsored by the Harrison Township Parks and Recreation Committee. Mr. Capral, I don't know if you want to share a few words on it, or?
Just a couple of things. It is a trunk or treat event, and we ask that all the participants come prepared to pass out treats to the Halloween costume decorated children that walk around to each vehicle.
Okay. Next, we have the Veterans Memorial Program, Saturday, November 8th at 1 p.m. Right out here in front of Town Hall at our Veterans Park and Monument. We'll be adding the names of 9 veterans to our memorial this year. We'll have the event rain or shine, and I understand we'll have the 21-gun salute and some guest speakers, so should be a good event.
Mr. Supervisor, what was the time on that, please?
1 p.m. 1 p.m. Saturday, November 8th. The Clinton River Watershed Council's inaugural Water Trail and Paddling Summit will be Thursday, October 23rd from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Stony Creek Nature Center. Registration can be found at www.crwc.org, and we also have a link on the township website. The Harrison Township Public Library is hosting 2 upcoming events, Tales with Tales, Saturday, October 18th. This gives children the opportunity to read to a therapy dog for 15 minutes. We ask that folks register for a time slot between 1 and 2:30 p.m. It's a free event. Also, an informational presentation on ADD, ADHD, and Asperger's will be held on Wednesday, October 29th at 7 p.m. You can learn the differences, symptoms, treatment options, and available resources for each condition. The presentation is free. Registration is required. To register for library events, we ask that you call the library 329-1261, or you can stop in the library and sign up. And for all library events, children in attendance need to be accompanied by an adult. Also, for all of these events, you can find information on the township website, harrison-township.org, or you can call the supervisor's office, 586-466-1445. Any other announcements? All right, next on our agenda then is item B, regarding a special assessment district. Mr. Witt.
Yes, Board. At our September 22nd meeting, we adopted resolution number 4, which set today as the public hearing for the assessment roll for the paving and improvement of the Wall and Mass Streets. So what the purpose of this is for residents to come forward and speak for or against the assessment roll that was prepared and on file at the clerk's office. Residents were notified by first-class mail, and it was also published in the Macomb Daily and in the Journal. So at this time, we need a motion to open public hearing number 2 for the Special Assessment District, Stellamar sub lot number 1, Point Roses sub number 5, lots 211 to 219, and Malice sub number 1, lots 21 to 30 and 32.
So moved.
We've got a motion by Mr. Capral. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Mr. York. Discussion, board members? Hearing none and seeing no public comment, Mr. Witt, will you take the roll call, please?
Yes, Mr. Capral,
Yes.
Mr. York,
Yes.
Mr. Batanti,
Yes.
Mr. Brado,
Yes.
Mr. Tominello,
Yes.
Mr. Witt, yes, Mr. Verkest.
Yes. All right, we've opened the public hearing, and this would be the time when anyone who wishes to speak or address the board regarding this special assessment district for road improvements in this area has the opportunity to do so publicly. So if there is anyone here who wishes to speak for or against or discuss in any manner this special assessment district, now is the time. If there is no one present, it would seem appropriate to close the public hearing.
I'll make,
Correct.
oh, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing at this point.
All right, we got a motion by Mr. Tominello. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Mr. Batanti. Did we cut you off, Mr. Witt?
No, I know Mr. York had a question about it
Well-
at the last meeting, I think, regarding the interest rate and the collection date.
Oh, no, I have another question though.
All right, Mr. Witt?
Now
Or
now
Mr.
might be
York?
the time?
Yeah.
I mean, you could put that in there, that's fine. I mean, you probably want to put the
It
interest
is
rate
in there. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
because it's my understanding that we're gonna use, our, I guess float money, I guess you call it.
Cash on hand, yeah.
Yeah, investment, PA 20 investment money for this project, I believe, which is fine. My concern was that, I don't know if we need to do something, we need to talk to our auditor to find out if we need to do some extra paperwork on that, just because it's an investment.
My understanding, you had asked me that question
Yeah.
prior, and I had spoke to the finance director, and he did reach out to our auditor, and
Okay.
he felt comfortable with the process we were going through.
Perfect.
Because he had gotten the same paperwork previously for the canal cleanout project that we approved previously, and
Yep.
he was comfortable with the process we had used, so.
Alrighty. But I do have another question.
Okay.
This being a special assessment, and I know that we're 3 weeks from another item on the agenda where we have a where we have 1.5 mils road millage out there. So I guess my concern would be, once we adopt this, this is pretty much locked in now. If that passes, we've established here a special assessment district. You are authorizing me to go and collect the money per this agreement here. And if that road millage passes, we don't have any provisions in this contract that allow them to go use the road fund at that point.
Well,
And
I'm sorry.
and because we're saying that we're reimbursing, this is a contract,
Sure.
so we're gonna spend $154,000, it's gonna be, this is the special assessment district, this is how much the project is, and this is how much each person, each house is gonna be assessed. That's the contract. If that passes, we're locked into this SAD, not using money from the 1.5 road millage, which is now free to the people. That's why I'm sort of surprised that this is on this meeting. I think they should have waited till the December meeting to see if the road millage passes, because they might have got the work done for free.
Well, first off, based on the policies that the board prepared, because this is private, it wouldn't be a free project. They'd still have to have a special assessment process to be able to come up with the other portion of the cost for the project. And in the past on special assessment projects, and in the language that this one's been under throughout the time we've approved it through this process, is the homeowners are only assessed the cost of the project. So let's say the county goes out and gets a ridiculous price and it's dirt cheap and it's $100,000. You don't charge them $142 just to be
Oh, no,
stubborn.
I understand that, obviously.
You know, so I think we have some discretion. If the millage would to pass and this would be approved as a project under that by this board, based on the recommendations of that citizen committee, I think it would be at our discretion to not levy additional money that they don't need to pay. So that was the, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I don't think we'd have to go above and beyond if that wasn't the cost of the project.
Are those roads private? They're not owned by the county?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a
it's-
different thing, because we can't spend tax dollars on it, so that we couldn't use that road money anyways.
Yeah, it's,
So,
it's
that's
20,
fine.
it's 25% public by one legal definition. At least the county Department of Roads perceives it to be 25% public and 75% private. So,
Okay.
based on the way some of the lots were divided and platted, so.
Yeah, my concern was, why have the people pay for them if possibly they're gonna get it for free?
Yeah, no, they
That-
don't
that
have
was
a,
my
they don't have a
concern.
free road available to them
Right.
under those.
They'd have to do some special assessment district to
Correct.
qualify, no
Yep.
matter what.
No problem.
All right, any other questions? Hearing none and seeing no public comment, we have a motion by Mr. Tominello with support by Mr. Batanti to close the public hearing. Mr. Witt, will you please take the roll call?
Yes, Mr. Tominello?
Yes.
Mr. Batanti?
Yes.
Mr. Brado?
Yes.
Mr. Capral?
Yes.
Mr. York?
Yes.
Mr. Witt? Yes. Mr. Verkust?
Yes. All right, then it looks like B3 would be our next item.
Yeah, the last step is to finally adopt the resolution number 5, which is the final adoption for the special assessment, which sets the billing process and sets out the interest rate and everything. This special assessment can be broken over 10 equal installments at a 5% interest rate. Based on the project being done next year, in the next build calendar for the Department of Roads, it would be billed out in December of 2015, and the installments would become due July 1st each year after. So,
All right, so the next step would be to adopt resolution number 5, correct?
yes.
All right. Is there a discussion or a motion on, regarding the adoption of resolution number 5?
You might wanna change that due date, because really it's September 14th. Right, we send the tax bill out July 1st, but it's really due September 14th.
No. This gets billed out on winter taxes, not
Oh,
summer.
all right.
So it gets billed out with the December taxes, and they have until I think it's
And due on,
Interest is after January 1st, so.
Well, wait a minute, we, see.
That
this
was
is-
based on some conversations with your office the
Back
last
up.
time we,
Back up,
so
all right.
if
let
there's
me-
some corrections, we can make them now.
Okay, so I'm reading this and it says the first installment is due on December 1st. So I send out the taxes December 1st.
Yep,
We collect taxes through February 14th of 2016,
okay,
right? Then after that, through March 1st,
yep,
we still collect them and there's a 2% penalty. March 1st, which would go forward through July 1st,
the
Right.
entrance doesn't come,
all of those taxes go delinquent and they go to the county and then the county reimburses us.
but not for special assessment districts.
Guess everybody's always just paid them on their December bill.
I know there's some people that haven't. I think the last one was the Venice Shores, and they get pushed. There's something, I guess, within BSNA that allows it to be a separate. It's a line item on the tax.
No,
bill,
we have
but
a
it's not-
separate special assessment,
Yeah,
like
so it doesn't
like
get
program.
pushed the same way as a delinquent tax bill.
I'm just
You know what,
questioning
we-
that July 1st of each year
Yeah, what I-
thereafter.
Yeah, what I noticed is the first installment's due December 1, the following installment's July 1st of each and every year after. So is
So
that-
we're billing on the summer taxes at that point. That was,
I can correct. That was I ran it past your senior account bookkeeper who had done a couple of them. The previous employee in there, and this was the dates that they said worked for them in the past.
okay.
And that's
well,
just that's what
I
I
mean,
was
if it
feeding
works,
off
it
of.
works, I guess.
So, but if we need to make a correction
guess I just
before
never-
we assess it, Darren.
I
we
guess I
can.
just never noticed that before.
Yeah, no, I mean, if we need to make a correction that makes it easier for your office and more, but that was based on their input, so.
all right?
You're billing it on the 1st. All right. Okay.
If we need to make a correction, we did a correction with the last one just to change the date, so maybe we can revisit this should there be a need if you,
No, I'm just, we send it out on the 1st, but
Yep.
it's really not due to July. But we don't put it on the July bill.
no. You invoice
Right?
out on the December bill.
Yeah.
So the point being that the due date doesn't correspond
It's
directly
not
with
directly
the
with
tax.
taxes, it's just when the invoice goes out.
Gotcha.
I think that
Maybe
was
better
some-
if it
Well,
does it
my
anyway.
understanding was that was something to do with not trying to hit people with the tax bill
Right.
and that at the same time,
Right.
just to give some time for people to have some flexibility in paying. Because some people are very strict planners when it comes to that type of thing, so.
I'm just questioning that July 1st.
If we need to make a correction down the road, we can. If there's something, if your
All
office
right,
feels like there's a
that's
different.
fine, that's
there's a
fine. I'll
different
have to look
process
into
that
it.
we should
It just seems to me that should say February 14th.
Well,
That's
but I
all
think
I'm
that's what he was
saying.
just saying, is that
Because I'm going through my mind here, and we don't separate that out as far as the interest. The interest gets charged to the whole bill. That's why I'm questioning it. But
Yeah.
Katie might have been doing something different, like backing interest out or something.
Yeah, and I talked to her just so I made sure, I
I'm
don't
not
wanna
saying
do it
that.
wrong, and if we need to make a correction, if you look into it and there's a correction to be
Yeah.
made, we'll bring it back and
All right,
happily
that's
make
fine.
that, so.
I'll look into it.
Okay.
She might have been backing something out that I didn't know about.
Yeah, and it might be the way that software bills it, based on it being a separate module from the other. So.
Yeah, but when it goes on the taxes, everything gets interest after July or after the due date, so.
All right.
Anyhow.
Any other
That's fine.
discussion, or is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 5 for Maston Wall Street Improvements SAD project as presented.
All right, is there support?
Support.
We've got a motion by Mr. Batanti with support by Mr. Brado to adopt the resolution as presented. Discussion, board members? Hearing none and seeing no public comment, Mr. Witt, will you please take the roll call?
Yes, Mr. Batati?
Yes.
Mr. Brado?
Yes.
Mr. Capral?
Yes.
Mr. Tominello?
Yes.
Mr. York?
Yes.
Mr. Witt, yes. Mr. Verkest?
Yes. All right, motion
Thank you,
carries.
board.
All right, next on our agenda is item C, regarding GG Club LLC, doing business as Guani Golf Club. Request for a new Class C license with entertainment permit. Mr. Witt?
Yes, earlier this year, we received a request from the applicant for a new Class C liquor license with entertainment permit, outdoor service, and special purpose because they have food and golf there. They need those. And they went through planning commission for that review process, and they were recommended from the planning commission. I believe we have somebody from here if there's something. I
Well,
mean,
the planning commission, I believe, just reviews for compliance with the zoning.
zoning.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
they didn't
correct.
make a recommendation on
No,
whether to
but based
approve
on
or
their
not.
review, if at the board's
Right.
discretion. One other thing, and this is the township's last allocated Class C liquor license that we have as our own. There are other ways for liquor licenses to be brought into the community, but this is the last one that we have available currently.
All right. Would we be looking for a motion to open up the floor for discussion, or did you want to,
I don't know if we want to allow them to speak first. and-
yeah,
If I may, Frank Palazzolo, corporate counsel for the applicant in this matter. If I can introduce my clients. Mrs. Babish, Kathleen Babish, who is the sole member of this LLC. Mr. Babish, Wayne Babish, many of you know, they've been in this community for a long time. Mr. and Mrs. Babish, through a separate entity, own the real estate.
You know what?
Good?
Can you hear it?
How's that?
It's the one underneath the, it's the one in.
Yeah, that was.
Is that blue light on there? We're good. There we go.
Good.
okay, sorry about that.
Without starting all over again. Again, Mrs. Babish is the sole member of this LLC. She is looking for a Class C license. As you probably are aware, that golf course has been there since 1910, although I think Wayne's been there since 1911, but that's a different story for another day. They have recently acquired the business in the year 2001, but they were leasing the property until this past summer. The lease required them to remain as a private club throughout the duration of the lease. Now that they are no longer subject to that lease, the goal is to come before you and to get a Class C license, which would not have any restrictions. For those of you who are not familiar with it, they currently have a club license that restricts the sale of alcoholic beverages to members of the club only. That means that if you're a member or you're a member, you can go in there and you can buy a cocktail, you can buy beer, you can buy wine, mixed spirits for yourself and any of your guests. But your guests can't purchase, they can't reciprocate to you. It creates a business problem under the current model because Mrs. Babish would like to open up the catering and the banquet facilities to the general public. Right now what happens is they don't get as much catering business as they would hope for because you have to be a member to go in there and book your wedding, book your graduation party, or any of your events that you want to do. And some other locations that have these club licenses, the outside people go to a club member and say, can you book it for me? But club members are not inclined for a variety of reasons, including liability, liquor liability, for financial liability if the things are not paid. So that's the reason behind this request for a new Class C license. Procedurally, the first step is, of course, coming before your board. Second step would be, if you approved it, my client would still have to pass through the Liquor Control Commission and go through all the requirements of the Liquor Control Commission. Now, I do notice that you made a comment that's very pertinent, and that is the fact that this is your last license. That being the case, I'm sure as a board you are somewhat reluctant about using your last license. But I notice on here that you have a resolution or a discussion today to talk about creating a downtown district authority. Mr. Witt, I don't know how many more licenses you get under that DDA, but there are a substantial number that the Liquor Control Commission will give you, and if that's your area that you're looking to enhance by some entertainment in the downtown development district, among other things, then you have all these other licenses available. So we're hoping that you consider us as a good corporate citizen. Like I say, my clients have been there the last 13 years. They've operated it as they have. The goal is to keep it long-term as a golf course and be profitable. To be profitable, they need some assistance from this board to open it up to the public and maintain it as a public course rather than a private course. And I'm here for
Huh?
questions.
Oh, wait,
Not the course,
Well, I-
just the banquet
The
facility.
banquet
that's what I thought. I
Oh.
just wanted to make sure.
Facility.
My mistake.
I was ready to book a tea time.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the only reason I mentioned that it's the last liquor license is so the board is fully well aware when they're making the decision. There are, if a different business comes in, there are an array of other licenses available depending on the type of business. And I know, we've had two other businesses approach us regarding transfers of liquor license. So it doesn't necessarily stop businesses from coming in, it's just to make sure the board's full and well aware. The review process is a little different for a new Class C liquor license as opposed to a transfer. Usually on a transfer, what the Liquor Control Commission is looking for basically is a recommendation, and they can take it into consideration. On a new liquor license, they really won't move forward without our approval on it. So it's a different review standard for this body at that point.
So, talking about a little history, since I've been on this board, we've had, I believe, two other people. I think Rob reminded me of another one. We've had two people that have asked for this liquor license. And previous boards, on both of those occasions, ruled they did not give up that liquor license. And one of them was Buena Vito Restaurant, actually. I think that was around 2006 or 7. We actually turned them down. My opinion here is this is a new license. They have currently a liquor license that they can use for their private club, for their private members. And I like Kiwani. I like Mr. Babish. We sit on EDC together and everything, you know, so, but I'm thinking as a board member for the community. My opinion is this liquor license is the public's liquor license, and whatever business we give this to should be available to the general public to use, because it is the public's.
That's what we're attempting.
And, well, not necessarily, you are, I can't go golf at your golf course. The public can't go golf at your golf course. And you just said that you're gonna have it for catering and that type of thing. Well, if I don't have a group of 50 or 100 or 200 people, I can't use your facility. I can't walk in there on July 4th and with my family and have a dinner, neither could any of the other residents. Now, if I'm,
We're attempting to open it up to the public, the restaurant, for weekends, Sunday brunches, that type of thing. But we can't right now under our current licensing.
so will that be open, year-round?
That's what we're intending.
From 8 o'clock in the morning till, so at noon, somebody could walk in there and
Have lunch,
and have
absolutely.
lunch?
Yeah, in the off-season, we want to be able to do business during the off-season as well.
Can you, if you're gonna answer, just get to the mic so people at home can pick you up a little bit?
Yep.
Thank you.
Sure.
So during the season, the golf season, where there's private members, you're gonna allow the public to go in and have dinner or lunch
We're
at
attempting
the
to,
golf club?
exactly, have the restaurant available for public use on weekends, holidays, Sunday brunches, that type of thing. We want to expand our business because the private club industry is not quite what it was years ago. So we need to look to other avenues in order to maintain and grow.
Well, I guess that still doesn't change my opinion. You know, I guess and I'm just one person, but I guess I've always looked at this particular license as the carrot to have a restaurant or a development come in. For example, you know, we have this DDA we're talking about, and you know, some hotel or something wants to come in, or a restaurant, a waterfront restaurant. Wow, that's a big carrot to give somebody a $20,000 or $30,000, you know, liquor license to come in and build a restaurant or a hotel or something within the community. And I guess that's what I always thought that this would be used for, would be a new, you know, economic development. That's what we keep talking about here. this whole board meeting is about economic development, giving tax breaks and this and that, and I just feel giving it to a private company where we're not building something or you know, enhancing the, I don't want to use the word enhancing the community, but like I said, where somebody comes in, builds a nice restaurant, a hotel, whatever it is, we give them the license for that. And I guess I'll just leave my comments there.
Okay.
Now-
Well,
And that's not to say I dislike Gawani at all.
Oh,
Right?
no,
right?
this isn't, this, yeah. Mr. did-
I was just gonna comment, I oppose everything you're saying. Yeah, I'm just one person too, but I think, this is a business that's been here for an awfully long time. They run a really nice facility. We've never had any real problems with their facility at all. I think it's a brilliant move for them to try to change their business model a little bit to make it more accommodating for other residents, which could involve, that could lead to a public person coming in and joining the club. So, right now, if they have no means of using that facility, they're not gonna know whether they wanna join Gawani or not. So, and I understand what you're saying, Darren, about other restaurants, potentially coming in, but they're not here yet. They
well,
are.
Yep.
So,
And-
that's something that I'm looking at that and saying, well, there's other restaurants that could come in. Yeah, okay, well, they're not here though. So, I think we should try to help businesses, especially in this community where when winter hits, a lot of these businesses really slow down. So if this is a business that's trying to make an effort to improve their business model in the winter months, I think that's a brilliant move.
And just a point of clarification, and I think the council pointed this out, the establishment of a DDA comes with it additional liquor
Right.
licenses for that area. So
Right.
one of the reasons why we're looking at establishing a DDA is because it will open up those opportunities for us to, in essence, have more carrots available. An observation I have, I was not on the Board of Trustees in
No,
'06.
I'm just mentioning that.
Oh, no, understood,
you know.
right, but I was not a board member in, say, '06, or whenever this issue came up in the past and was denied. But a part of me wonders, how did we benefit the community by sitting on a liquor license for the last 8 years, not allowing someone to make use of that and to expand or grow their business and potentially reinvest in the community, so
I
for
think
me.
that liquor license predates me by probably many years.
Oh, no, I understood, but what I'm
Obviously, that
saying is,
license has been sitting there for probably 20 years.
sure.
They were created.
Right.
Yeah.
My point being that we as a board have an opportunity to either vote yes or no on this item, and all I'm saying is I can't help but think that if a prior board had voted yes 8 years ago, perhaps there'd be a business that would have grown, or there would be, reinvestment opportunities
Well, I
or
know it would have
expansion
been
opportunities.
Buenavito.
Well, I don't, yeah, I'm just saying.
I don't remember if the board
We
rejected that or.
voted no.
Yeah, I know that
Yeah,
part
we
of that had
voted
to do
no.
with the parking, because they didn't have
Yeah,
sufficient.
but we voted no, like,
Yeah.
we sort of graced over that because they had that extra lot.
Sure.
And
Right.
we voted no because we wanted to use it for a, that's not to say this board changes, whatever, new boards, they can do whatever they want, but they wanted to use it as a carrot to bring in a restaurant that wasn't there.
Sure. Mr. Hoots?
I just want to add one thing with respect to the new DDA licenses. A prerequisite to get those is that you not have anything left in your inventory. So
I
you
see.
couldn't have this and use that as a tool to get more liquor licenses, so just
So what-
part of your
If we
consideration.
got carrots in the fridge, we don't get any more carrots.
Right.
But we don't even know that we have a DDA yet.
Understood.
I-
We're gonna
That's
get
true.
there.
That's true.
You know,
I'm just adding to what you're talking
We
about.
know where the issues are there. That's a whole nother, yeah, that's, I don't know that anybody gets, that's a whole nother discussion.
Sure, sure.
I don't think we get to a DDA, but.
Any other discussion or comments, or?
I do have one question for Mr. Huth. I don't know how this board's gonna go, but, normally something goes on here and it's 6-1 and that's fine. So in preparation for that, we've had many times where, just like this rezoning later on, right? Where we do something
That's not on the agenda.
and then, right, well, I'm just saying, we do something and then the other people don't do what they said they were gonna do. can we do a liquor license contingent upon them opening to the public? Because right now, they have a liquor license, and their people can go and drink and golf and do whatever they do. But once I give them this liquor license, they really don't have to do anything but get that, and they could sell that liquor license to somebody else for $20,000. They could do that.
May I comment on that while Mr. Huth is
I
doing
mean,
his
I'm not
research?
saying that that's what you're gonna do. I'm just saying that, that could happen.
Sure. My comments are twofold. Number one, the LCC doesn't accept restrictions on their licenses. They say it's our license, we'll decide what we're gonna do as far as restrictions. Number two, that there is a regulation in effect with the commission that says that for a number of years, a new licensee cannot transfer that license to a third party. You can't deal in them. You can't get one and then flip it the next day for that $20,000 or $30,000.
But we don't deal with these
Yeah.
quite often.
I understand. So it's gotta be it's gotta be a hardship for them to allow that license to be transferred again in the first few years. I might add also that you're a growing community, and every 10 years there's the census. I don't know what you picked up on the last census, if you picked up
40
any
people.
more licenses. But,
Yeah, we're
Give or
flat.
take.
well,
Slow
We're
growing.
flat.
but,
Yeah.
by the year 2020, that might be a different story, and that would open you up again for additional licenses under your quota.
And just, and I understand the intent of passports as to use it as a carrot, but if I think back to the liquor licenses that this board and the past board has discussed in the past years, whether they were a new business or a different company coming in or a different space being used, there were a couple transfer ins from out. It wasn't, people didn't come after our liquor license. It wasn't the carrot that got them here. They were transfers, whether attained through some property sale, but I can think of 2 examples where the liquor license has come in from out of our community. So I know, I understand the thought of a carrot, but I don't know how much of a carrot it realistically is.
It hasn't
you're
proven
talking-
itself to be a carrot.
In the experience, I mean, I don't see where
I
that,
think they gave one to, before we were there, but I believe Garwood's got one for building, the Garwood's restaurant, which is now
Go on.
Aspen.
Yeah.
But, hey, it's a board. I guess I'm sitting here thinking, if I would've known that we're, gonna give it to Gawani as a private club, I guess I would've said, I'm gonna give it to Buenavito because they're over on Jefferson, they were new business. And, growing business, they're still in. I would have definitely,
yeah.
changed my vote.
And in
You
speaking
know,
with
it-
that,
I mean,
because
I'm
they-
just saying at
Oh, no, no.
that point.
But
you
just
know.
in speaking with, it was a representative, an attorney representing that company, the
Yep.
Benvenuto, and something might have changed in the meantime. But I know they were originally looking at the liquor license, a full Class C, but I think they were looking at that parking lot next door, doing that, and then possibly looking at a tavern license, which would allow them to do a different array, which doesn't fall under the Class C because of concerns that, as basically a breakfast, lunch, and sometimes dinner place, they were concerned about being able to get that license.
Yeah, I think the issue there was that they'd only been in business, I think, one or 2 years at the time. And I think the board didn't know if they were gonna make it or not.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I'd have to go back and watch.
I know
the
one of the
tape,
things they were looking at, just speaking to that one specifically, was a tavern license. So there are some other options available to people, so.
but- Oh, that's fine.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, I think that it's an interesting notion to keep this out as a incentive. I hear that, and I can see why we might want to think about doing that. But I also think the comments that were made that indicate that this has been out there for many years and has apparently not served that purpose. So I would agree with that notion. I think part of our responsibility is to help our local businesses thrive. It benefits the entire community. And I believe the current owners have shown Downey to be a very reputable place and one that Harrison Township can be proud of. And I think that part of our responsibility is to help them improve their business.
I agree.
And I would, I think that Darren's comments, Mr. York's comments are valid, but I think there's an overriding opportunity here that we can take advantage of.
All right.
It's fine.
Mr. Supervisor, I'll make a motion to recommend approval for the request for a new quota to 2014 Class C license with an entertainment permit, outdoor service, and specific purpose food and golf permits, and a new SDM license for GG Club LLC, DBA Guani Golf Club, located at 24770 South River Road, Harrison Township, Michigan, Macomb County.
All right, we've got a motion by Mr. Tominello. Is there support?
Support.
Can I interrupt for a second? Your resolution needs to talk about the permits also. The outdoor service permit, specific purpose permit.
It did.
It did.
Oh, it did?
Yep.
And the golf, okay.
Yep, and the food and golf, yep.
Yep,
My
it
mistake.
says specific purpose, food, and golf permits.
And we do have the entertainment, covenant attached, and that's been signed, so, they're restricted from, those acts that covenant prohibits.
All right, so we did have a motion by Mr. Tominello. Mr. Capital, did you second that?
I did.
Okay. All right, and I apologize, I just wanted to make sure procedurally that the motion was seconded. Further discussion, board.
I just want to say, once again, I have nothing against Gawani. Just,
That's fine.
don't walk away thinking that I have anything against Gawani or, you know, I've almost been a member there a couple times in my
Well,
lifetime, but
By its very
You know, it's
nature,
nothing-
any township
nothing
business
personal.
that comes before us, or anyone who wants to invest, you know, you've got to vote yes or no on this.
Right,
And it's
right.
not a measure of the individual business or the
Right,
people
right.
that
I just-
represent
I just don't
that
want
business.
anybody walking away or anybody thinking in TV land that I have something against Gawani. I don't.
Yep, understood.
Matter of fact, if it opens, I might probably go eat there.
Is there, I don't know if everyone's using the on deck chair. It looks like somebody may be hiding behind
Linda's
there. I
back
couldn't
there.
quite see it. So
Linda.
Yes, there is.
we'll open up the floor for public comment.
Linda's back there.
Hi, my name's Linda Karcheski. I'm a resident of Harrison Township, and I think this is a great idea. I, for one, and my family would never get to go see the inside of this golf course, see their restaurant, because I would never be a member. I don't play golf. It's nice to have another business that the people in the township can go to. I, for one, think it's a great idea, and I hope that they do continue what they said they were going to do, open it to the public and let us come in for dinner. My cousins, every month, we meet at a different restaurant. And so some of the restaurants here, we've been to them. This would be something nice to go to, something different. And I'm, for one, am for it.
Thank you.
How you doing? William Barrell. What I'd like to recommend is give out the liquor license with conditions. In other words, you know, after 3 o'clock, have your golfing open to the public at a reasonable rate, you know, $20 for 9 holes or whatever, and be able to go in the clubhouse, have a BLT and an Old Duels beer or whatever, and have it open to the public after 3 o'clock for open golf. That's all I'm saying. Maybe have conditions on it. It's okay to give, I would say give out the liquor license, but have open golf after 3, just like open bowling, you know, open to all the public, because we like to golf too a little bit. Thanks.
Thank you.
Jim Sunstock, 31698 San Juan. I like the idea of keeping it in reserve, and I agree with Darren. It's a incentive for somebody to come in here. We've got this property that was going to be talked about later on today that has a B designation on the corner of Metro Beach and Jefferson. And what if they decide to come in and put a restaurant in there and they can't get a liquor license? Somebody else came in and come in with a restaurant proposal a few years back for that same site. So, you know what? You denied one of our existing businesses before for the reason that you wanted to hold it in abeyance and be available for new business. And now all of a sudden you're gonna give it to Guani Golf Club. And I don't have any problem with Guani Golf Club. I've never been there. I don't know what it, I just know that it exists. But the fact is, this lady seems like she's very nice. Her husband seems nice. Everybody seems nice. But the problem is, we denied somebody else the same opportunity. and they're still operating in this community. How is that gonna make them feel? I think that this needs to be held in abeyance for somebody to come in and put something new in the township. Additionally, you guys talked about, oh, well, we're gonna get all these DDA licenses, liquor licenses. I believe those are all only to be used in the DDA boundaries, not anywhere. So if I wanted to put something just outside of the DDA and I wanted it to be a bar, a restaurant, a whatever, and it's just outside those boundaries, I can't do it. You don't have any liquor licenses. We got all kinds of them on the other side of the boundary line, but you ain't got any where I need them. One liquor license held in abeyance for this township is a good insurance policy, and it's a good public policy to allow us to attract businesses. And if you're trying to attract businesses down at the DDA, it ain't all gonna be in the DDA. That was one of your pluses when you were touting it at the public hearings, that it's gonna create business opportunities outside of the DDA boundaries. Well, there's no liquor licenses for outside the DDA boundaries anymore. So please don't give this away at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, one thing that was mentioned earlier.
Well, hold on a second. Is there any more public comment? Seeing none, we'll close the floor for public comment and move back to board comment.
Yeah, you know, just most people go, you know, there is the opportunity to go to the open market and buy one and transfer it, you know, one into, and I think that's what several people have done. And I think, quite honestly, people just didn't realize that we had one.
Right.
To be honest, I know probably of a couple restaurants that if they knew that we had one, they would have come and applied.
Sure.
You know, I'm thinking of like the River Rat or something, you know, I'm sure that they would have come and applied, but that's fine.
Yep. So
Yep,
a couple
that's
of
fine.
points that were made. One was conditions, placing conditions on the license. I thought I understood that the Liquor Control Commission does not allow us to place conditions or restrictions. Could either of the attorneys present comment on that?
That's correct.
Okay, good.
Excuse me.
Yep.
The covenant are restrictions, which is outside the Liquor Control Commission, so to that extent it can be done.
Okay. The second issue was there was a comment about the DDA liquor licenses, and in fact, it's correct, those are confined. If a DDA is established, any licenses that are associated with that DDA stay within there. But I think it's important to note that we've held this license for several years. I'm not, in my 6 years on this board, I'm not aware of anyone who's approached the township to say, well, we want that. I'm aware of other businesses that didn't have liquor licenses that purchased them and moved them in. The fact is that process, that this becomes a piece of equity. And the irony is, if we give out a liquor license, as all the communities have to create all these licenses, they can be sold, bought and sold on the market, and it happens regularly. We don't have the ability to sell them. Whether I like it or not, I think it's kind of crummy that somebody can say, well, I can go find one for $30,000 and I can buy it, or I can get one for free. But the rules are we can't sell this. It's a piece of equity that we have, and it only has value if we put it into place and put it out in the market. But if tomorrow someone decides they want to open a business, like they have several times in the past several years, they can purchase a liquor license, just like they can purchase a building or invest in a beautiful bar inside, or whatever it is that they might choose to do. So we're giving this license out, I want to make sure that everyone understands, does not preclude anyone from establishing a business, a legitimate business in the future somewhere else in the township. No matter who it goes to, we give it away for free. But businesses regularly purchase these, and the availability of this won't encourage or hinder the formation of a new business.
There are a multitude of different types of licenses available for businesses to sell alcoholic beverages. And looking into this, because when I was approached by the individuals regarding this one, I thought, well, I'm pretty sure I've been into the county before and had a drink. And I was sort of questioning why, but it's because of the transfer from the private club to a privately held company. And then sort of looking into why that happens and what different licenses are available through the Liquor Control Commission, there's a multitude of different licenses. So it doesn't necessarily preclude one. It does take it out of our control.
Yeah, the only difference is you probably went in there with a member. You can go golf and drink all you want. The only difference is that you can't, under their current license, their club license for a nonprofit, you can't open up the facility to, you know, if I want to have a wedding there and I'm not a member, I would have to get, you know, whoever, maybe you're
Yeah,
a member
right.
there, so I
No,
say, Adam, can
no,
you
it was-
sponsor me to be have
Yeah,
a
and-
banquet there and we're
honestly,
good to go,
like
right?
I went there once for lunch. I would have liked to gone back and eaten the same meal again, but I couldn't.
That's right.
So,
Yep.
and to hold something off for the if come, I'd rather see what is there
Right.
succeed.
Sure.
That was my point.
Yep.
Well, are there any fresh comments on this? If not, we've got a motion by Mr. Tominello with support by Mr. Caprell to recommend approval for the request for a new quota 2014 Class C license with entertainment permit, outdoor service, and specific purpose, food and golf permits, and a new SDM license for GG Club LLC doing business as Gowanee Golf Club located at 24770 South River Road, Harrison Township, Michigan, in Macomb County. Mr. Witt, will you please take the roll call?
Yes, Mr. Tominello?
Yes.
Mr. Caprell?
Yes.
Mr. Batanti?
Yes.
Mr. Brado?
Yes.
Mr. York?
No.
Mr. Witt? Yes. Mr. Verkust?
Yes. Motion carries. Well, good luck. on the
Congratulations.
business venture. All right, next on our agenda is item D, it's 1, 2, and 3, regarding Yangfeng USA Automotive Trim Systems and their IFT. It's a public hearing. Mr. Witt?
Yes, we were approached through Macomb County Planning and Economic Development several months ago in regards to Yunfeng wanting to expand their existing business. At the time, there was several candidates that they were looking at as far as locations for putting that expansion in. Several of them were out of the state of Michigan. As part of that process in trying to recruit the business to make the expansion here, the county asked if the township had the ability and would consider extending an industrial facilities tax exemption to Yunfeng for their expansion. The total cost of the expansion is $51 million, roughly. And over, I believe it's over 3 years, they're targeting at bringing 519 jobs to Harrison Township. The bulk of those jobs, based on the proposal that they gave, are very well-paying, higher-end jobs that would be brought into our community. So this is part of a small part of the package that's being offered to recruit this business, including some stuff that's being done at the state level through the MEDC and that organization at the state. So at this time, oh yeah, one other thing that they have been able to utilize as part of this economic development effort is to do transportation economic development fund, to tap into that, to do some repair and repaving of Executive Drive. The state ends up paying for 80% of the project, with the county paying the 20%. And my understanding is there's no match from us as the local or anything necessary to move that project forward. The county will be coming up at that 20%. So I know
That's
a lot of business. I mean, that road is not in great shape, but for the businesses, it gets the trucks, but it's not the most attractive or probably the
That
best
road's
for those
terrible,
vehicles.
just terrible.
It's horrible.
It's awful.
And so this is a tool that, because of this coming in, the state was able, the county actually, through planning and economic development, was able to get the state to commit to the project as well. So that should help some of the existing businesses in the area, in addition to Yunfeng. So as part of that, what I do as the clerk is contact all the taxing entities to let them know that we'll be holding this hearing today, to give them the option to, similar to the conversation with the DDA, to say that they won't participate in the IFT exemption. All those organizations have been contacted, and so they can speak during the public comment, but the first step would be to open the public comment to hear, the public hearing to hear any public comment for or against the IFT exemption.
All right, so the first order of business, in order to proceed with this agenda item, would be to open our public hearing regarding this industrial facilities exemption. So I'll be looking for a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
All right, is there support?
Support.
All right, we've got a motion by Mr. Capral with support by Mr. Brado to open the public hearing regarding the IFT for Yangfeng. Discussion? Hearing none and seeing no public comment, Mr. Witt, will you please take the roll call?
Yes, Mr. Capral?
Yes.
Mr. Brado?
Yes.
Mr. Batanti?
Yes.
Mr. Tavanello?
Yes.
Mr. York?
Yes.
Mr. Witt? Yes. Mr. Verkast?
Yes. All right, at this time, we are in a public hearing. The floor is open for anyone who wishes to comment for or against this industrial facilities exemption.
How you doing? William Barrio. I'm not per se against this promotion. What I want to say was, I don't know if the applicant realizes that Southeast Michigan has one of the most highly skilled workforce in engineering, skilled trades, computer-aided drafting, et cetera, et cetera. With that being said, I'm not opposed to this, but what I am opposed to, if there's more to it, is a business not paying their property tax. So, but I don't know if that's in here or not. That's a whole nother talk show. But what I want to say is, I'm not opposed to that, and basically, I would like to say one thing about businesses, if anybody doesn't know. If a business gets a tax break, it doesn't mean that they get a tax break that they hire people. Businesses hire people if they need somebody. If they lose market share, then they're forced to hire people. I want to get that out of the way. If you need people, you hire people. If you don't need people, you don't hire people. Okay, I'm not opposed to this. But the other thing I want to tell you is I hope that when they redo the road, it's concrete, that they take chunks out and redo one chunk at a time and just don't throw blacktop on it, because it is a concrete road. The other thing I want to talk about is regard to that is hopefully this guy that wants to come out and put in a gigantic sign that is going to be proposal for a 48-foot wide sign, 14-foot high, and 48-foot wide, 14-foot high by 70-foot high. I hope that this doesn't block your Yang Fu USA Automotive Trim sign that you have, you know, with your nice fascia brick and everything, and it doesn't block this, because there's a guy coming in here that wants to put a big billboard up there, like we need another billboard, like we need a hole in the head. He wants to put up a 48-foot wide, 14-foot high, 70 feet up in the air. So you best believe that's going to be blocking all the business signs in that area. So I know this guy that was an applicant, I know it's going to be going, it wants to go to the Building Board of Appeals. This guy wanted to save time to put this big billboard up, but he tabled it like 18 times. But he wants to save time and go right to the Building Board of Appeals. So you're going to have an obstacle there blocking your nice buildings that you redo in your machinery and tooling and so forth. But thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bill Servil, EDC member. Well, Yangfeng may or may not, most likely they would do this without the abatement, but they've been a good corporate steward. They've expanded since they originally came here a number of times, and I believe that they're an asset to the community, and I really don't see any downside to this. So I think you should go ahead with it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim Senstock, 31698 San Juan. You indicated that there's 519 jobs, $51 million in improvements. It'd be nice if Yangfeng got up and told us what kind of improvements they're gonna make. Is this equipment? What kind of equipment? Is it building? What kind of building? How many square feet? All you're asking for is a carte blanche. I got $51 million I'm putting into it. I wanna see what you did with the $51 million. Is it beneficial to the township? Additionally, we've in the past, and other communities have indicated when you promise 519 jobs, you gotta come up with them. What kind of promises have they made? They said 519 jobs, they said it to Macomb County. Is it gonna benefit anybody in Harrison Township? Anybody? I think that, I don't know if I may have, you said it was for 5 years or 3 years?
It's a 12-year abatement.
12-year abatement. Okay, maybe it would be nice if you explained to the citizens, since we haven't done one of these in a long, long time, just exactly what an industrial facilities exemption certificate is, how it impacts our taxes to the Harrison Township people. For 12 years, essentially, these guys ain't gonna be paying taxes on that $51 million. That's how it works. So what are we getting for? Before you go approving something like this, I mean, this seems like it's got the go-ahead from everybody and their brother because it's the right thing to do. Well, you know, it may not be the right thing to do for the citizens of Harrison Township. If there is a business reason to do this, there's a business reason that the taxes aren't going to impact one way or another. If they can afford to improve, and they've can put 519 jobs in as a result of it, there's a business case that has to be made before they ever even think about it. And the tax aspect of it is a very small percentage of that. So why are we jumping and head over heels trying to give them more money? I understand this is a pretty successful company, by the way, but we're gonna give them more money with no guarantees. Thank you.
Thank you.
Linda Karcheski, resident. I understand what Mr. Sensak is saying, but one of the things with this company, ever since they moved here, they have been a good neighbor to the township. They have contacted even the Historic Commission when we were doing 175th anniversary. They contacted us and asked what they can do. I told them about the Parks and Recs and different things that that you guys do, and they're willing to be a good neighbor and help the citizens of Harrison Township. And as far as Mr. Sensak says about the jobs, well, if there's people in the township that can do these jobs, then go and apply for them. All you have to do is apply. But if you don't apply for a job, you're not gonna get it, and someone else will get it. So the 500 and some jobs that they're gonna have, I'm sure on their website, they're gonna tell you what these jobs are. And or go to the Michigan Unemployment building, and they will have all these jobs listed. I believe that's how it's done now. Everything is done on computers. But I'm sure that if there is a citizen in the township that could do one of the jobs that they have, they'd rather give it to a citizen before someplace else, because they know that person lives right in the township. They'll come to work every day. They don't have to worry about driving miles to come in. But I like the company. They're always there for us. If we went there and asked them for stuff, they have given us. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other public comment, we'll close the floor for public comment. Well, actually, I'm sorry, it's a public hearing.
It's a public hearing. You
Yeah,
can move to the
right.
board.
So I apologize.
If I could just respond to
Yeah,
a couple
really,
of-
if we were gonna respond, it would be in public
Yeah,
comment.
yeah, we'll just
I'm
make it
sorry.
now, that way if anybody else wants to do some follow-ups. There is a list of the equipment that's being purchased, within the board packet that specifically goes through line item by line item. It also gives a timeline for when those investments will be made. My understanding is the bulk of the work is going to be done up front. I think a majority of the jobs are within the first year that they're gonna be hired. That was the explanation when, this was originally brought to us. The IFT, just again to expand on what it is an abatement for any new real and personal property taxes. So this is not money that we get now, but it would be money in the future. And I know Camille Silva here is here from Macomb County Planning and Economic Development, and maybe she can just expand a little bit more about some of the process that went into this and why this is an important part of the decision to locate here in Harrison Township.
And if I could follow up, maybe before she does speak, I think a component in that, so a couple of things. $3 million in real estate, real investment, literally improvements to the site. 48 million in tooling, and it's that tooling and the list of an itemized list of actual programs, you know, literal programs, Chrysler, GM, you know, issues relative to interior trim, instrument panels, door trim panels, so on and so forth. So these are improvements tied to actual vehicle programs. The other component, I guess, I'd hope that you might comment on is the notion of the idea of saying that when the county has worked with the township and the state to get this, at least make sure that, maybe give us a little information about the process, the fact that we're competing with other communities, locally, regionally, and nationwide to try to get this investment.
Good evening. Good evening, Supervisor Verkest and Township Board. I have with me Ben Hung, and I'm going to talk a little bit, and then if you have questions that I cannot answer, come on up. Ben is the CFO at Young Fung at this site. So originally, when Drew Coleman from the MEDC and I met with the township, we explained that this company has facilities in other states and also in Canada. So there was a business case that had to be brought forward in order to keep this set of projects here in Michigan. They could have gone to Lordstown, Ohio, they could have gone to Ontario, they could have gone to Kansas, and then there was Harrison Township to consider. Well, when you're a business-friendly community and you want to keep business, you consider these things. Consequently, the state became involved because of the size of the project and the number of employees that were going to be hired. I know someone asked about the IFT process and what that means. The purpose of Public Act of 1974, as amended, that we use today, countywide, statewide, is to help companies when they are investing sums of money into real and personal property, meaning machinery and equipment, computers, office equipment, and they have to hire. Job creation is part of this package. Well, in this case, Mr. Hung's group is hiring, as Mr. Witt shared, high-quality jobs. These are not entry-level jobs. These are managerial, technical, semi-skilled, and skilled jobs. This is what you want in your community. So they had to determine between the different states and Ontario their business case of where was the best place to do their business. As it turns out, they met with the MEDC, and between all the choices, with the incentives that the state of Michigan offered, they opted to stay in Michigan. Now, when the state offers a package to a large company that's growing like this, there is a component of local support. So we met with the township and we explained this is a huge amount of jobs, huge. And again, not low level, these are mid to high level jobs. So that's really a win-win. There was also a question, I hope that explains it because I'm going to move on. Okay. Secondly, the question about the company being paid money for this. The company's not paid a penny. It actually costs the company money to even apply for an IFT at every community. In this case, any additional investment that the company makes, even though there is hopefully going to be a tax abatement, they are still required to pay a certain amount of the taxes. So the gain is the company does investment, the community still receives taxes out of that. In this case, Mr. Huth, I did misspeak. The first year, it looks like it's gonna be just under 50,000. You're gonna gain an additional 50,000 in taxes based by the estimate from the state when they did their package. So that's a win-win again. Let me just comment, there were a couple notes I took.
Second year?
The second year, as I explained to you,
The citizens need to know.
I'm gonna
I mean, I
explain
can
it.
explain it to them, or you can,
No, I'm gonna
because
explain
everything
it.
changed because of the personal property tax laws.
yes, you will continue to get tax payments on the real property, and then in January 1st, 2016, the SESA will come in, and that's the Special Essential Services Assessment. And then that formula will be somewhat different. And if you've read about it, great. If you haven't read about it, I'm going to send Mr. York the MEDC fact sheet. And we've been encouraged by the State Tax Commission to continue doing these projects. And all of the communities, in fact, tonight I had another meeting to attend in one of the cities near you. And next week I have 4 companies in the township that I believe is next to you that are all approving for the 12-year. Now, this is a significantly larger investment than those other projects, but we are on the growth curve. Automotive is growing, so if you want to keep it growing and keep it in Michigan, and particularly in your local community, this is how business-friendly communities operate. So again, whatever they invest in the real property, and there is 50% of that abated, you will get more and more money as the years go by. We have not a formula, but there's an analysis at the state level that's done. So it's considerable. So, okay, now, the road improvements. Executive Drive would not be touched if it weren't for this company doing this large expansion. They would not even consider it. The reason the state is considering this is because of the fact that this company alone is investing and creating all these jobs. In the last week, I've actually been called by 2 other companies on Executive Drive, and they are interested in meeting with us. And when I said that we are applying for these state transportation economic development funds, they were very interested in that. So as one project goes, it can build on others as well. So again, that's a win for Harrison Township. It's not going to cost you or the company a penny. What that comes out of is the state funds, and what is referred to as the locals in this case is the Road Commission of Macomb County. They are the fiduciary. And I've talked to Bob Hoffner, and he is 100% in support of this project. So you're getting a road out of this. And you wouldn't be getting that if not for Young Fung. We talked about the competition in the high jobs. We talked about the tax abatement and the business case. So I think that is probably what I wanted to share. Do you have questions for either myself or Mr. Hung?
You know, I know when they originally came into the community, I know they worked with State Representative Forlini to do a local, I think it was like a job fair type thing for when they had those jobs. I mean, I know we can't make conditions on any exemption or anything like that, but maybe that's something we can work to do in the future, just so we can see if we can get some local people into those jobs. I know that was something we looked at before, but might be something worth looking at to see if, you know, so even if it's not Harrison Township, it's somebody locally. And
I was going to say, most of the companies that I work with want to hire locally because the attendance is better, and in this case, these, again, are well-paying jobs. Macomb County, our department, Planning and Economic Development, does what's considered a best practice in Michigan. We meet monthly with the MEDC, Macomb County, Michigan Works, Macomb St. Clair Workforce Development Board, and Macomb Community College. We call it 4M, and we all work together to build, grow, at one point stabilize the economy in Macomb County. So yes, they will be more than happy to work with the company.
Well, hopefully it'll translate into houses selling in Harrison Township.
Right. Oh, that's what
Kids
I
going to
didn't
school in
address.
Harrison Township, things like that.
Thank you for saying that. What I didn't address was when the question was, you know, all these people are coming in. Well, that's normally a good sign for most communities. They want people coming in, filling the houses, more rooftops if you're not built out. But the other thing is, if they don't live, say, in Harrison and they're in the surrounding communities, it's still a win-win because I go out to eat once a week. I stop at the dry cleaners. I have to get gas every Tuesday, so
Yep.
they're gonna use the local services here in the township.
And now you know where to host your holiday party. Guani just got a
I
license,
think so, yeah,
there you
I'm
go.
kind of
Give
excited
'em a
about
call.
that.
Well, and there's
No,
$48
maybe,
million.
maybe not. We don't know if they're gonna open up. My guess is they don't.
And there's 48, or better yet, I suppose, $51 million of real dollars that are being
Yes.
spent in the community in the
Yes.
form of tooling and contractors and improvements. And there's obviously ancillary benefits to that money being spent in the community, I mean, in the area, as opposed to Lordstown, Ohio, for example. So, all right, are there any other questions for the applicants?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so Mr. Huth, did you happen to find any information out?
Well, I
Does
did,
this
I
end
looked
in
at the site you gave me, and then, that section dealt with the default.
Correct.
Okay. You know, and then I did get your email, but I wasn't able, I'm having an internet issue, so wasn't able to open it, but, I didn't see how the default, site that you gave me related to this. So I'd have to develop that a little bit with you.
Yeah, so this is the issue for the residents. Normally, we have an IFT, and unfortunately, I was not invited as the treasurer who deals with these IFTs. It's really my office that really does all the taxing and all of that with the assessor. Sorry, I wasn't involved in this. But that being said, with the new personal property tax, the way that IFTs used to work is companies come, they say they want, whatever, $5 million in an abatement. We say that's great. They're going to offer 200 jobs, yada, yada, yada. We vote. They get a tax abatement. We only value them at 50% for the next 12 years. From assessing, I tax them whatever amount they should have been. It's only 50% of the total amount. For 12 years, it ends, off we go. Well, now we have this new personal property tax where businesses are now exempt from personal property. I'm sure that a lot of folks have voted on Proposal 1 over the summer, which basically allowed a different bucket of taxes. Businesses are no longer going to be paying personal property tax, so that's a good thing, right? There's no better incentive than zero taxes for a company to move here, right? So that being said, so those laws come into effect in 2016. So once this came up, I thought IFTs were done. Obviously, they're not because of this personal property, right? Why would you need an IFT if zero taxes? So what's going to happen is in 2016, all personal property from 2012 forward that businesses purchase will now become exempt. Zero value. Nothing. Zip, zilch, nada. They don't pay any taxes on it. It looks like in 2015, they're still going to have to pay something on anything over 80,000. Any businesses that have over 80,000 in personal property, I believe, are still going to have to pay. So my question was, right, so Yangfang does a $50 million investment in the community, right? What's happening is the state, because they got rid of the companies paying the taxes, the state is going to reimburse the communities at 80% of the taxes that the companies should have paid. Only for, in our case, fire and police. Those are the essential services. We don't even have a general fund millage. So that being said, my question was, and we still don't have an answer to this, is if you do an IFT for 12 years and the state's going to be paying you a reimbursement after 2016, are we now giving the state the 50% reimbursement? Now, the young lady at the podium says no. I'm not sure about that. That question, I posed it to the treasurers, who just, and this is what I was talking about prior to the meeting. The treasurers, I was not at the fall conference, but there was a gentleman there talking about this. That question wasn't answered. I threw it out to the treasurers a forums, I guess. And 50% of the treasurers say one thing, 50% say another. So I have reached out to the head guru guy, Mr. Heineman, who deals with this. And while I have no problem giving Yang Fang this incentive, all right, so let me be really clear on that. If they're not paying any property taxes, which is great, I want to make sure that we're not cutting our check short on the reimbursement from the state, because Yang Feng isn't going to pay anything. The state is. So that's why I said prior to the meeting, I actually wanted this tabled for a week or two for us to get the answers to all those questions, how a new IFT impacts the new personal property tax laws. And right now, I don't think anybody actually has the answer 100% to that question. And I can tell you, the state, I sat through a thing in May. They weren't really clear. Like I said, I don't even remember them talking about it because I guess it's just assumed that the personal property tax is going away, so why have an IFT? There is no need for an IFT. You're not going to take 50% of zero. That's
Okay,
ridiculous,
and
right?
let me address that then. As I explained to you prior to the meeting, that real estate expansions and real estate improvements will continue to
Yeah, I'm
be
not talking
alive and
about
well
the real
for 12
property. I'm
years.
talking
And
specifically
with the
personal.
Hold on.
And with the personal property tax, as I explained to you, approximately 80% will come back from the state. And I also shared with you that the City of Sterling Heights City Manager, Mark Vanderpool, has been very active with the Lieutenant Governor, working out a formula so that communities get more than 80%, more like 95%, and part of that will be the use tax. Now, in the past, let's say, as the internet's become more and more popular, people are buying things on the internet. Typically, people don't pay tax. Well, that's going to change. People are going to start paying taxes. We've talked with Amazon and another national company, and they will have 15 formulas, and those taxes will go to the individual states, and then the state will use that to add over and above the 80%, the use tax.
Well, they didn't
will be
mention
used.
that in the vote, that they were going to put the tax on the internet person.
The tax already exists, most
It
people
already
just don't claim
exists,
it.
people
Right,
don't do it.
right. It's a function of
Yeah.
enforcement,
So when
not new
you
legislation.
file your taxes at the end of the year, you're supposed to say, hey, I didn't pay taxes on this.
I actually put a number in that last year, if you really want to know.
Yeah, and I know we had talked about this before, Mr. York, and I mean, my understanding from when we spoke with the gentleman
Drew
from
Coleman from
yeah,
the MEDC.
Yeah, he said that the part of the reason for asking for 12 years, because that was one of my same questions, was to show a local commitment to that, and in addition, the real portion of it for the real property improvements. And this is authorized specifically under the one law, which is different than the other law. Yeah, I mean, this is under PA 198 in 1974, which is different than the reimbursement side that was voted on in Proposal 1.
Correct.
So my understanding is that the two are very separate, and this won't affect the reimbursement portion of that.
Now, I'm not talking about the real, so let's
No,
just
no,
be
no,
real.
no, I
I'm not
understand that.
talking about the building portion.
I understand.
The real portion, the law hasn't changed,
Yeah,
and that's great. and
no, and
vote yes, and we're good.
Yeah. So I'm saying, but the
personal
personal
property
side
is
of
where it gets dicey.
And that was specifically what we asked him because of the statewide vote that was going up, and maybe, I mean, I personally feel comfortable if after we close the public hearing, move forward with approving it. But I think, I mean, because we're on a tight time frame, I would feel comfortable moving forward with it. But as we spoke to earlier, if there's a need, if you uncover some different information when you get a response back, that, you know, we could hold a special meeting and undo it if there's something that you uncover that leads us in another direction where we show, if you come out and say, nope, the guy from the state said we're gonna get just nailed on this and lose all the money, well, then we can make a decision before we submit it. I mean, I don't have to submit it right away, but because of the timeline in submitting it by the end of the month, I sort of have to give myself some time to get it to the state and have them review it before the end of the month, because I know last time this was submitted, the meeting was like the 30th, they sent it up the 31st, and there was something wrong, and they almost didn't get their IFT the first time until much later, so.
If I could, we have a company that's come here from the other side of the world, and they've decided to set up their business here in our community. We don't have a lot of businesses that are willing to spend $51 million in our community and offer 519 white-collar jobs. And we just, and now we're getting a road improved. I think the personal property tax is the least of our worries about all this.
Well, that's the point. Maybe.
And they're making a 12-year commitment to us, too.
No,
I mean,
no.
They're actually for a mutual commitment.
No,
So-
that's the exact point, right? They're not paying any taxes. They will pay taxes on what they have, take the real out. So we're not talking about a building, whatever, we're gonna do that. In 2016, if they put let's just say they put $300 million of personal property in those buildings. Let's just make it astronomical, 300, and they're doing 1,000 jobs. In 2016, how much tax are they gonna pay on that personal property? Zero.
Okay?
Zero, nothing, right? The state is going to reimburse us 80% of what the company should have paid on that personal property. So it affects the company nothing at all. They're paying nothing. So it's very simple. If you give them the 12-year IFT, which you're having the value in half, right? Is the state going to say, oh, township, instead of giving you $1 million, we're only going to give you $500,000? And that doesn't affect Yangfang or Macomb County or anybody. But what it does do is make sure that we get our reimbursement. And I think we all would agree that we want to keep that reimbursement from the state as high as we can, because that's going to go to the fire department and police, and we know we have a deficit in both of those. And getting an extra $300,000 or $400,000 in those funds sounds pretty good to me. And it doesn't affect Yangfang, and that's what I brought up. If you did a 2-year, right, a 2-year, that takes it to 16. They get the 50% rebate for the 2 years that they actually have to pay taxes, just on the personal, not the real, right? Then the personal property law kicks in. We get our rebate from the state. They're paying 0 tax dollars. Everybody's still happy.
And if Yanfeng leaves and they go to Lordstown, Ohio, then how much money do we make from Yanfeng?
But why would they leave? You're paying nothing in taxes.
Because
There's
Ohio
no why.
Ohio also has an incentive.
Right,
package.
neither would we.
Mr. West.
That's the point.
And considering, and I will say this, considering that when you look at their own, it takes a while to ramp up for $50 million, right? When you look at their schedule, most of it is gonna be done in 2015. And here, newsflash, anything you put in over January 1st, 2015, that's the day they do the assessments. Doesn't get billed till 2016 when your taxes are now 0. That's
Okay.
why it says 2016.
I do understand that,
right?
Mr. York, but I think you're looking at one element of a larger picture.
I think it's an important element. I want Yinfeng to stay. If this were normal AFT, I'd be all for it. I'd be saying, let's do it. But I think the discussion and the question needs to be asked to the head guy at the state, whether or not
And I'm
we're
going
gonna
to send you the
cut our.
IFT fact sheet, and you're going to talk to him. So
Well,
those
I
are.
have his number. I've
Right,
already
you're
left him
gonna
a
talk to
message.
him, and I'm gonna
I can
send you
handle.
the
I'm a
state
big
fact
boy.
sheet.
I'm a big boy. I can handle
Well,
it.
I'm just trying to help you with that process.
But I just want to make sure that we're not
I think Bill had a comment.
we're not cutting our reimbursement from the state.
I understand.
Because, I mean, that's the best of both worlds. Great, Yangfeng, they get 0 taxes, they're clapping.
Well,
We get
Mr. York,
500
this
jobs,
is
and then the
happening
township
all
gets
over the state
$400,000
of
on the back
Michigan.
end.
This is happening all over the state of Michigan, and I deal with 27 communities, and they are still passing these until October 31st, which is the state deadline. And
But I
we've
don't
been
see why you'd
encouraged by
want to
the
do
state
that on
tax
personal
commission.
property.
They're doing it, sir.
If
They're doing
Yangfeng was putting in $50 million in, say, November, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. But looking at their schedule, they're probably not going to be able to get most of that stuff until after January 1st of
So
2015.
you're looking at this as a lost opportunity, then, is what you're
No, I'm
looking at
not.
this?
No, I'm saying that Yangfeng isn't going to be paying probably any tax. If I owned Yangfeng, right, I wouldn't put one piece of equipment in until January 2nd, 2015. Because whether or not we do an IFT, right? I could do a $100 million IFT today. If they put the personal property in that building January 2nd, 2015, there's never a tax bill sent on that property. Period. Because the assessor comes in January 1st and looks at all the property January 1st. January 2nd, you put it in, that property now gets assessed January 1st, 2016, and you pay no taxes. That's what I would do that's what I'd do if I owned the company myself.
There's a couple of things embedded within this document, and one of them is a program for, and I happen to be familiar with the Chrysler program, that is not waiting until 2015. That program is gonna start this coming, basically it should have started already, but it's gonna be very active December, and they have to get that equipment in.
Well,
And there are some, I
And
know
it's gotta go, they're not gonna wait.
the IFT allows for them to have already started some of the work.
Right.
They can begin it up to 6 months. So I think in our conversations was that they're gunning already because, I mean, it's not holding off. The business case is there for them to install it now based on their timeline.
Mr. Witt, is there going to be an opportunity, if we were to vote on this evening
Sure.
and approve it, and we were to find out in the next week or so that there's an adverse impact to the township?
Right.
I mean, basically, that's what this is all about.
and it's
Correct.
not Yang Feng's fault.
Well, yeah,
Understood.
but let
I'm-
him speak.
What I'm understanding is there's concern by Mr. York that there is the potential for adverse impact to the township on tax reimbursement from the state.
I would
If
agree
we
with
were
that.
to vote this evening in favor of this, is there an opportunity, if we learn that that's the fact, to do something about that, to reverse that decision? I understand why we want to do this evening, to get the paperwork processed. I
Yep.
get that.
Yep.
If we find out in the next week or 10 days
Sure.
that there is a true adverse impact, do we have an opportunity to do something about that?
Right, and we discussed that before the meeting, and Mr. Huth, perhaps you can comment on that.
Well, there's 3 requirements for what's called a motion for reconsideration. It has to be brought at the next legislative session, so the next board meeting or special meeting. It has to be brought by someone who supported the motion the other way. And then thirdly, it'd have to be passed by 2/3 of the legislative body at the meeting. So, the answer is yes.
So,
Huh?
thank,
Wait, so it'd have to be, so somebody has to vote no to bring it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
all right, so.
Someone has to vote no on today's vote in order to have the ability to
No,
reconsider.
no, it'd be,
to
right,
be a-
the other way around. Adam's got it.
Right.
They have to vote yes and able to be,
Okay.
and able to
Okay.
bring the reconsideration.
That's
So
what
if-
I thought too, but
No.
your
That's it,
answer.
I
Well, that's
didn't
what I
get
thought too,
No,
and
no,
then
no.
I
It's-
Can I
heard
just
it.
speak?
Somebody who votes in the affirmative
Okay, that's all right.
is the only one that can bring a motion to reconsider.
That's,
Well,
So,
by its very nature, it doesn't even pass unless you have 4 people vote yes. So obviously, that's not a difficult one to, you can reconsider, you can't reconsider something that never even passed.
Correct.
so, as I understand it, this is, we all agree, an important